Hey, and welcome back. In our last tutorial we created the base for our landscape with some dirt and some rocks and added some wet values along the edges, and now we're ready to start scattering some plants and whatnot. So I use a plugin called Forester to do a lot of this. They have some great trees to use, but for now we're going to focus on the grass. So let's grab a multi-flora, and I'm gonna pause this and hide this for now because we don't need this. Make sure we're in object mode. Okay. So right off the bat it gives you this. We don't want that. Let's maybe go with some long grass. And I like to duplicate this a couple of times. So we got 3 different grass. And let's go into the first one. And I'm just gonna increase the patch radius a little bit and adjust this. Which one is it? This one here, the grass node length ratio. This will make it so along our edges we get some smaller blades so that everything isn't the same. And we'll go through and make some variation within all of these. So maybe this one's a bit patchier, and this one we'll make patchier, add a couple more. Maybe make this one a bit shorter. And again, let's adjust the node length ratio for both of these. That's probably going to be good for what we're working with. So let's add some more. Let's see, this time let's maybe take some clovers. Now those look pretty big, so go into this global setting, just make this smaller. And let's do the same thing. Let's maybe increase our patch radius. Now this is just for the grass. Let's do the same for the stems. And I'm going to drop the stems down a bit. Cool. And let's create another one. We'll make this one maybe some flowers. We'll do some flowers, why not? Cool. For those, I think I'm just gonna leave them as is. If you compare them to the length of our grass, you can see our grass is pretty long. So I might go through the grass now and just shrink them all down some. Cool, that feels nice. And I think that's going to be it for this as the flora. Spread them out. And now we want to work on getting these textures looking right. So let's unpause and we can come out of our main view. Find our grass. So right away I'm going to convert the materials and remove the unused. And we're not going to use all of these materials. I think I'm just going to use maybe this leaf for everything. So let's delete the other two and replace the textures up here with this leaf. Since everything is so small, we're not going to really see the difference in these green textures. So I'm just going to use the same one for anything that is green. There we go. And now we need to open up our node editor and do what we did with our dirt, create a mix material. So I'm just going to duplicate this and we'll use the same thing for all of these. I like to put this in the bump just for fun. And we'll make this one. We're going to be using our transmission. So let's pipe in the transmission. And you'll see right away we're getting a lot of transmission. We don't need that much. So we can use a gradient or a color correction. Let's try a gradient first. You know what? I'm going to use a color correction. We want to get some transmission, but not too much transmission. So I'm just darkening this a bit. I think that looks pretty good. Let's create our mix material. Put this in number 2. Put this in number 1. We don't have any displacement to worry about this time around. And now this one here, let's just make it a specular or a glossy material, sorry. And I'm gonna up its roughness just a tad. And let's go ahead and throw this mix onto all of our grassy materials. Cool. So now we're getting some specular highlights and we're also getting some transmission coming through everything here. So now this is looking good. We want to do the same with these flowers, stigma, not so much, more so the petals, and I'm just going to pump that into the transmission and leave it at that. Cool. So our grass is ready to go. And now we can focus on scattering. So I'm going to take all of these and we're going to get an Octane scatter and go ahead and put them in there. We want to distribute on the surface. We'll start with 1,000 and we will change from there. But let's try to scatter on this dirt surface. Now I'm going to break out of this main camera once more just to see how everything is poking through okay. It's looking good. And now we do want to make sure we are not getting any grass within this kind of riverbed that we created. So what we can try and do is use the vertex map we created earlier and throw it in there. And you'll see it is keeping most of the grass off the water here, which is what we want. If we wanted, we could create another vertex map and kind of push them further away from the edges. But for now, let's see how this kind of plays out. So I'm going to go back into my main view, and right away it looks like this grass might be a little big, but for now let's just keep it as is, and I'm just going to add one more 0. And yeah, I think our grass is looking just too long, so let's go in here, go to grass, and we'll play with the length on all of these, maybe 26, just around there. Okay, can break out to check again. Now we are getting a lot of flowers scattered around our scene, which is cool, but they are all facing the same direction, so we need to go in and add an effector. We're going to add a random effector into our scene. Let's turn off position, scale. We'll use a uniform scale. 0.1. Rotation, we just want to rotate here by a lot. And then let's just drag this effector into here. And now everything should be randomized a bit better. One thing I noticed also about this scene is our grass is very green. So going to open up our node editor once more. And let's add in our color correction. I'm gonna pipe this into everything besides the bump. Actually, just the two diffuse. And I'm just gonna lower the saturation some, and I'm gonna do that in the transmission as well. Cool, I think that looks good. A lot more natural. For our flowers, it might be a little big, but let me check them out once more. I don't usually use flowers in my design, so this is a little weird for me. I think I'm actually just going to change them to something else. So let's try maybe this Hulkus. Not sure how you say that. Cool, that looks cool. I'm just gonna apply our mix across all of these. Getting nice little things popping up. And I do think it might be a little big, so let's tone down the size and continue forward. All right, now I'm liking what we got going on. We got some nice grass, got some rocks, got some dirt, got some water. Everything's looking good. So from here, we can start putting in our trees. So once again, I'm going to pause this for now, break out of our main view, and let's go up to Forester and add a tree. And now you'll notice right away that the tree is a little too big for our scene, so let's go in and make it smaller. Something like that, and we won't be able to tell until we actually pick our tree. Let's see. I'm going to go with maybe a more mountainous kind of look, so pick that one. I'll go with this Penis strobus. Not sure if that's how you say that. And let's see. Abies Fraseri. And maybe one more. One that isn't so tall and pointy. I'm going to go with this Morton tree, which I don't think I've used before. And it looks pretty big, so I'm going to make that Morton one of my smaller trees in the scene, just to offset those other ones. Cool, so that's looking good. I'm going to take our mix from our grass and apply it to our leaves just to make things a little quicker here. And same as before, we want to convert our materials and remove any unused materials. And now we just need to up our viewport levels to match the render levels here in order to see our leaves. And at this point, I like to hide all of these. Just because it can bog things down when you're going through and adding all these viewport levels. And I'm going to duplicate this Octane scatter and just delete everything that was inside. And we'll put our trees in. And we don't need 10,000 trees, so I'm going to lower this to about 100 just to start off. And you'll notice that our scattering points are kind of flaying off to the sides, and we don't really need that. So what we can do is just drop this normal align down to nothing. You can add a little bit for variation, and that should be good. So let's get our live viewer up again. And let's unpause. Cool, and right away we're seeing some trees pop in. And now this is the battle that we will play now. Just play with the seed until you kind of get what you're looking for. You may need to paint in some more vertex map points in order to limit where these trees are going. And I just realized I'm not in my main view, so there we go. That's a problem. Cool, so everything's looking good. We're getting our trees. And let's just up the count to maybe 200. And play with the seed some more. Cool, I think I'm going to stop with this one. Ended up going with 66. And now we just want to create our background now. So we've got some nice trees scattering around. Our scene's really coming together. Doesn't look like a bunch of rocks and dirt anymore, so that's cool. And in order to get this background looking right, I'm gonna jump out of our main cam. You can kind of see what we're dealing with. A cool way in creating a scene like this is, like, if we were to paint our vertex maps within all of the water points, like, then we now have this cool scene and we can go in anywhere we want and set up our camera. Maybe we liked it better over here, but we didn't really set that up, so we can't really do that. But more time you take and you paint more vertex maps, you'll get a fuller scene. But since we only focusing on this area over here, that's all we need. So I'm actually going to stay in this main view, and I'm going to break out into my other view here. Here we go. And I'm going to start off, I'm just going to add a landscape and pump it into the back here. Make it nice and big. And we're just going to use this as maybe there's a big hill in the back, and we're going to scatter some trees on here. Make it a little flatter. Cool. So from here, I'm going to just add my dirt mix. Give it the same amount of tiles. And let's go ahead and name our scatters. Grass, FG, foreground, trees, foreground, and I'm gonna disable both of these, and let's duplicate this. This is now going to be grass background, trees background. Now for the grass, I don't think we're going to need 10,000. I'm going to start at 2,000 for now. And let's delete our vertex map and add in our new source. Just to get some grass in the background there. 2,000 doesn't seem like enough. We'll go with 5,000. There we go. And on the trees, we can do the same. So let's delete our vertex map. Let's go with 50 trees to start and add in our new landscape. Cool, and now we got some nice trees off in the background, and we can enable our foreground scatter, and we will be in a good place. Got the trees, and I'm just waiting on the grass to pop in. Cool, there we go, and awesome. Our scene has come together pretty nicely. I'm gonna change the seed on the background because I don't like this little blotch of sky that's kind of coming through. And yeah, you can keep playing with all of the seeds and it'll just keep changing what we're getting. So I like that. That kind of plugs that hole for me. And we have this nice isolated creek within this nice mountain area we created not too long. Okay, so that's going to be it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we are going to focus on creating some fog and some nice lighting, and then go over some rendering tips so we can get into the compositing of this image. All right, I'll see you in the next one.